Make of Tim Kelly's offensive coordinator debut. 15 points, none of them touchdowns. Nick Folk, the leading scorer on the day, the only person to account for any points for the Titans on the day.
Isn't it ironic?
It does seem to be.
Don't you think? What a banger. All-time banger. This song.
The chorus. I will. It doesn't matter who you are. It's like that. I can't remember. There was an internet meme, and now I'm going to botch the analogy. But either way, it's just one of those songs where you hear the chorus and it doesn't matter who you are, age, sex, race, whatever. You're going to belt out the chorus. It's like rain.
And yet nothing in that song is ironic.
No.
Maybe that is the irony in and of itself, that it's a song about irony that doesn't actually include anything ironic.
Well, you know what else is super ironic? Well, what a Titans offense, bud.
Pretty much everything about it.
What am I to do with these quotes from Tim Kelly about a month ago, let's say, where we're talking to him about Derrick Henry's usage rate. Now, I told you guys, and I expressed this on the League Company pregame show with Blaine and Mickey and Kayla, and I said in 2023, I would like to see Derrick Henry's life made easier. I don't need to see Derrick Henry have an 1,800-yard season. I don't need Derrick Henry to have 360 carries. I need Derrick Henry to be the most efficient version of himself. And so when we're talking to Tim Kelly about Derrick Henry's usage about a month ago in training camp, this is the response that he gives us.
Yeah, it'd be foolish of me to not play to our strengths. You know what I mean? And obviously having Derrick here, we got to make sure that we're putting him in the best spot to be able to continue to have the high level of success that he's had throughout his career. That's something that we're working on as a staff, and that's something that we're not going to forget is understanding who we are and kind of what the backbone is of our identity.
With that being said, do you think we're still in the days where 30 carry weeks for him are going to happen?
I mean, if it means that's what we need to do to win the game, like that's going to be the biggest thing for us on offense is making sure that we're doing whatever it takes to be able to go and win that game based upon the game plan, based upon the vision of Coach Vrabel. And making sure that we're doing whatever we have to do to win.
Again, the last time Ryan Tannehill had 30-plus pass attempts and Derrick Henry had 15 or less carries in the same game, which happened yesterday, November 3rd, 2019, in a 30-20 loss at the Carolina Panthers.
Where they had a first-half game plan that included and featured Deion Lewis. And in the second half, they looked like a much more competent and true-to-form football team because there was a period of time when many of you wanted Arthur Smith fired in the first part of that 2-4 start?
2-4.
And the Carolina game felt like a tipping point because the calls for Art's job were starting to crescendo. Oh, here Mike Vrabel is hiring one of his buddies, promoting internally, blah, blah, blah. This guy doesn't know anything. He's a tight ends coach. And then Arthur Smith goes on to be a head coach and presides over one of the most successful offense in Titans era in 2020.
Man led the best QB rating of the noon slate yesterday. Desmond Ridder.
Indeed.
So really the first time then that this has ever happened in the era of Derrick Henry's this being Derrick Henry's football
since
team.
Derrick Henry became the full-time starter, I'll say the bell cow starter halfway through the 2019 season, because again, that wasn't that way at the start. This has not happened. Tim Kelly, a month ago, telling us it would be, silly for us to get away from the stuff that's our strengths, basically. And then having a game plan that is having success with Derrick Henry in the first half and doing things like, you know what I think is silly? A pony package, 2 running backs, in the backfield, the kind of stuff that we talked about, Cosell was interested to see if they would deploy any of that, except the personnel that you were looking for is what? Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears, not Tajay Spears and Julius Chestnut. I don't understand how Spears can outsnap Henry and there can be any kind of explanation as to that being a thing that plays to the Titans' strengths. Not out-carrying Henry, but out-snapping Henry. It would seem to me a bit ironic. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. Chris is calling us from Indianapolis. Chris is in Indy up next. Hey, I think I just hung up on him and picked up Jack's call. I'm sorry, Chris.
You sure did.
Chris, call us back.
Jack from Inglewood,
Jack
come on
from
down.
Inglewood, my bad. Okay, that was my first interception of the day. Well done by me. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, they don't let them practice in the preseason. Then they go on and on and on all last week about do we have a kicker or not, and this is what you get. I'm done with these guys.
Because I didn't practice in the preseason?
Yeah, you see how much good it did them.
Yeah, but what did it do Mahomes? It didn't help Kadarius Toney catch any passes. I mean, I don't the preseason thing. Didn't you say there's a Nick Sirianni quote floating around about the preseason?
Yeah, it was really interesting because Jalen Hurts was sluggish, started off sluggish and slow against the New England Patriots. Ultimately, the Eagles won. But Nick Sirianni said after the game that he's definitely going to reevaluate his preseason plans after their start against the Patriots. He went as far as to say that if he could go back and do it over, that he would put his offensive starters out on the field in the preseason. This was his post-game presser yesterday with Philadelphia media.
Oh, you don't have the quote, though?
I had it. I guess I just didn't save it.
Okay. Your first interception.
Yeah, there it is.
So we've got 2 turnovers so far between us. Let's see if we can't pull the full Titans trifecta and go for a hat trick today, shall we?
So interesting from Nick Sirianni saying, he said, I'm always evaluating myself. He said he wrote that down in his notes about totally reevaluating how they approach the preseason because of how they started.
Russell Wilson played in the preseason and lost. Patrick Mahomes played in the preseason and lost. Plenty of quarterbacks who played in the preseason won. Like Kenny Pickett played in the preseason, got his back blown out. Like what come on.
Okay, like the Steelers got blown out. He did not get hurt. You made it sound like Kenny Pickett out for the season.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I probably should have said that. Although if that Niners defense have anything to do with it, that'd have to they'd be chewing on his spine a little bit.
That's not a literal injury for Pickett. It's just
probably should have corrected that.
It's just a graphic metaphor.
Okay,
Buck.
Thank you, thank you for the correction. Nobody in football really talks about the preseason that way. Now, Blaine, to his credit, Blaine Bishop has been on this from the start, and I'm going to defer. I'm going to acknowledge. I know you guys think that I don't admit when I'm wrong very often, or that I think that I'm smarter than everybody else. And maybe sometimes I do think I'm smarter, but not when it comes to football. I'm going to defer to Blaine Bishop in that element. And when Blaine emphasizes the importance of the preseason, that's not something that's lost on me. But to attribute yesterday to anything. And I don't even want to attribute it just to a bad game, and I'll explain what I mean by that, because I think it's a larger issue. Frankly, I think it's a much larger issue than just a bad game. And I think that's an assessment that I'm comfortable making after one game. And again, we'll get to Tannehill from that standpoint at 12:20 after we hear from Mike Vrabel at noon. I just think that when I hear the preseason thing, and to talk to players and coaches about this enough around the league, like, I just don't think you can pin it on the preseason reps. Like, they're in practice every day with one another. If he's inaccurate in practice, he's going to throw an interception. If he's inaccurate in a game, he's going to throw an interception. And the 15,000 people that he's playing in front of at Soldier Field, if he was to play in the preseason, does not replicate sufficiently 72,000 at the Superdome screaming on your neck. It's just, I'm not going to outright dismiss it, even though I was pretty dismissive of Jay there. So I apologize, Jay, for being outwardly dismissive. I just don't think the preseason is as important as a lot of people are assigning it to today.
So what's the takeaway from Tim Kelly then? Alex in the F&M Bank chat says, while the running back usage was questionable, I don't blame Kelly. His play calling was fresh and got people open. Execution was just poor.
The personnel and deployment looked different. Tannehill missed probably 2 easy touchdowns. Spears and Chig on the flea flicker. Though the misses to me are even a greater offense than the 3 interceptions. Maybe not than the third. The third was hideous. The third was objectively hideous.
Where
he just didn't step into the throw. Like, he just lobbed it up there, underthrew it, and got it picked off.
Was that the one to Moore or Hopkins? I can't remember which one came later.
Moore was earlier on the play action concept where he had Chig open underneath. and there was 2 defensive backs in the area of Chris Moore. Again, DPI probably should have been called there. It also should have been called on Elijah Molden. Refs were missing calls on both sides.
So is that the dilemma with Tim Kelly, where the plays were right there? It was right there.
The plays were there.
And you hit one or both of those, Titans probably win that game, versus the Derrick Henry usage and going away from the run where it seemed to just be churning, especially in the first half.
Yeah. They had the opportunities that they wanted. They didn't execute them as a team. Tim Kelly cannot throw the pass. He cannot catch the pass. Tim Kelly can call the plays. And you can, while a fair criticism today is the utilization or lack thereof of Derrick Henry, it must also be acknowledged, both things can be so, that Tim Kelly gave them opportunities to win that game, gave them opportunity to put points on the board, gave them opportunities to not need the red zone, to go down there and score. They had wide open, deep chunk plays available to them outside of 20 yards. And Tannehill just couldn't hit him.
So is it a plus overall on Kelly?
I came away feeling okay, so let's do we didn't do stock up, stock down. Are we saving that for Tuesday?
Sure.
I came away overall feeling all right about the Tim Kelly debut. And I understand why people are going to say 15 points. What the hell are you talking about? Personnel, the execution by the personnel or lack thereof is more to fault here, if you want to do it by percentage, than is Tim Kelly's getting away from Derrick Henry in the second half. I'm not saying it's excusable. I'm just saying of the offenses, that's not as big of one to me as the opportunities that Tannehill himself missed that were created for him. Because the offense was throwing more on first down. I got. If I'm a Titans fan and I'm looking for a more modernized NFL offense, you got that yesterday. Problem was you couldn't hit the plays. You couldn't pull it off. The plays were there to be made. You didn't make them. Let's go to this is the Chris that I hung up on. All right,
Yes,
I'm gonna stop
is.
using my pen. I'm trying to reach. The phone's a little further away from me. I'm gonna reach safely and hit the button for Chris and Indy. Hey, bud.
Hey, no worries, Buck. I think it was an issue on my end.
No, it was absolutely not. I absolutely hung up on you.
Hey, I'm in agreement. I think as fans, Titans fans, we wanted to see an offense that was more modern, that opened it up, and I think we got that yesterday. Other than Henry sitting on the side when we probably needed to lean on him too because Tannehill was struggling, I don't really have any complaints. My question is, though, how many games have we legitimately had to lean on Tannehill and he pull out a win for us? Because I feel like yesterday, the Bengals game, that offense was for Tannehill to lead us, and I think he just folded. And I think we've seen that before. I'll wait for you guys' comments.
I'm not going to disagree. That's an offense that needed the quarterback to be the primary means of pulling this thing forward. And if you needed evidence or further evidence, if you are somebody who is already starting to draw this conclusion or has drawn this conclusion over the past couple of years, that Tannehill is not the person who's going to be the thing that pulls you across the finish line. I would say that yesterday, a one-game sample size, we'll have more opportunities to kind of evaluate that. I thought there was pretty clear evidence that that was something that he was supposed to shoulder and did so ineffectually.
I'm sorry?
Ineffectually.
Do you mean ineffectively?
Ineffectually.
Okay.
I mean, you could also say ineffectively. You want to Urban Dictionary me real quick?
Yeah, I'm double checking.
Like, listen, I just told you I'm down to it. Fit.
No, you're good.
You sure?
Yeah. I had my suspicions.
Look
but
at you back there, just waiting.
You're good.
Lurking. You're in the shadows. I sent Bert to the shadows, never to return. Now you're back there lurking with your dictionary. Put your Merriam-Webster's away. Stop it.
No shadows back here. Lights are shining bright.
No, it is funny. It's always bright and sunny in here every time we walk in here in the morning because the morning show crew doesn't like pull all the blinds and turn on the set lighting the way that I like to. But I can't say, like, It's not that Lucas and I need to be able to see each other, but like I can't physically see Lucas when all the lights are in here. There's too much of a glare. Not that you care. Let's go to Hungwell up next.
Hey, Buck, how are you doing? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the fact that the Saints have a really good defense. I think they were pretty close to top 5 last year.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the, I was wondering how many sacks were across the NFL yesterday, and that just goes to show you offenses start way later than, defenses are way ahead right now. And I think after a couple games, Titans will start buttoning it up and playing a whole lot better. I'm with a name like mine, I'm more of a lover than a fighter. But I'd be ashamed of these Titans fans for just abandoning ship and and all that. It's appalling to it's the first game of the year. You can't judge a team this early. So y'all have a good one, and I'm the greatest. See you later.
I mean, okay.
All right.
Thank you for the call. It's not that I don't think people who are jumping ship today or are giving off or signaling jumping ship today, they're not jumping ship on the team. It sounds like they're jumping ship on the quarterback. And today, I'm not going to talk you off the ledge. It's the worst performance of his career. I had some tweets last night about how are you going to spin this one for Tannehill? What are you talking about? I'm looking at him playing the worst game of his career. I don't know how anybody, not that we're interested in spin anyway, but like nobody's looking to spin things. I'm trying to have reasonable and sound analysis, and the reasonable and sound analysis on this Monday morning, September the 11th, in the year of the Rona 2023, is that Ryan Tannehill had the worst game of his career. Week 1 is not an entire season. You don't have to draw any grand assessments or make any grand assessments about what your football team will be in 2023 just from that one sample size. But you can be critical of that quarterback today. You can, not like you need my permission, but if you're done with the Ryan Tannehill experience, I'm not there to talk you off the ledge today. I think that there is a lot more to be concerned about him specifically based on what I saw at the Superdome. And I think, Mike Vrabel will be asked some questions about that here at noon. We're going to carry that press conference for you live. And then we're going to talk about what I think the core issue after yesterday's game for me with Ryan Tannehill is. But we'll do that coming up next. We'll also get into your phone call. 615-737-1045 is the number. We'd be happy to have you. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.